Hi friends, welcome back to the StoneburnerBooks YouTube channel. This week I'm going to shoot a little bit of behind the scenes each day of kind of what a day looks like in the studio. This week's a little bit different because I'm getting ready for an in-person event on Saturday. And today in particular looks a whole lot different than my normal Monday. The part that I didn't film today was that I was up and working by 5:30 this morning because I had some errands and things to do today that kind of set my whole schedule off. So I worked from 5:30 until about 8 this morning, and then started my day, got the kids out the door, all of that stuff. And so now it is just after 2 o'clock and I have about an hour before I have to pick up my kids. So I am finally getting back to my workbench and I'm going to work on just a few odds and ends of things that I need to get ready for the show on Saturday. Over the weekend, I pulled out a whole bunch of stuff, I pulled out all of my displays, my tables, and all the books I've made thus far, and took a look and saw where there were holes in the displays and what I needed to work on. So mostly I'll be working on making some lined journals this week and some notebooks to have at this is my first really big event of the holiday season. So I'm really excited about it, but I've got some work to do before I get completely ready for it. So I hope that you'll enjoy this vlog this week and see what goes into preparing for a show. Hi again, it's Tuesday now, and that little clip of me sitting and sewing the red floppy disk book, yeah, I sewed for about 2 more minutes after that and then got sidetracked by other stuff with life and family and kids' school stuff. So Monday was kind of a wash. I mean, I did a lot of work in the early morning hours, but once 8:30 hit in the morning, I didn't really do a whole lot. And today, unfortunately, is kind of going in the same direction. I worked early this morning, and it is now almost 1:45 in the afternoon, and I'm finally getting back to my bench. Monday and Tuesday are always the hardest days of the week for me for getting stuff done because it's when I put all of my household errands, getting those out of the way so that I can work. And this week in particular, I have blocked off, because these first 2 days have been such little time in the studio. I blocked off on my calendar tomorrow and Friday just a huge chunk of time to work, so that's my way of making sure that I don't say yes to things that will draw my attention away from my work again. So what I worked on this morning was cutting some book covers. See, this is the hard thing about not working till the late afternoon. You get this really harsh sunlight coming in. I mean, I love the sun, but the western light is a little bit not great for filming videos. But so I need to do some Coptic journals this week. So I've got some new papers that I'm working with and some old favorites like this. So I've cut all of the papers for the covers, and now I need to cut the actual cover board, and I need to cut the end sheets, and then hopefully I'll be able to start gluing some stuff tonight. I have these that I need to work on. I also have a couple cased journals that I just needed a couple more of those to fill in for my displays. So I'll be working on those, and they're all set and ready to go. So I did some prep work this morning. I'm going to keep doing prep work, and then hopefully this evening and tomorrow I can do a lot of gluing, especially the Coptic covers. Those need to get glued sooner rather than later because they have to dry overnight, and then I can bind the book, and then the book has to press for a day or two before my show on Saturday. So the high priority today and tomorrow are going to be these Coptic journal covers. So stay tuned and you'll see how they turn out. So here it is, Tuesday night, and you'll notice that I'm wearing something different, but this was just that evening. The curtains are closed, so I can tell that the sun has gone down. I like to close up shop and not feel like I'm working in a fishbowl. But here I am cutting the covers for the Coptic journals that I mentioned in the last clip, and that is something it's really relaxing to do. I like batch processing these, and once these were cut, then I could glue them. Once my covers were cut, I went ahead and switched to gluing. Um, this is a cased journal, which is a little bit different from a Coptic journal, and you can see here I'm adding the hard covers to the spine cloth, and then I'm also going to add the paper cover to the hard cover. So this is one of the things that I have to do to make my journals from scratch, and it's a fun part of the process. And here you go. You can get a little peek at what that cover paper looks like. Hi guys, it is Wednesday morning. It is actually morning. It's not like late afternoon. I'm so excited to get to the bench this morning. I worked on prepping a bunch of pages for disc books, and they are going to be pressed later today. I've got to, you can kind of see back here, I've got a bunch of stuff being pressed right now. I had a late night call, well, it would started at 8, a Zoom call for some stuff in the town, and I wanted to listen to that. So I used the opportunity to glue a whole bunch of stuff last night. So I need to get all of that stuff out of the presses and then move this into that. And then I will probably work on prepping more Coptic book covers, and maybe even sewing some of the ones that are in here that are pressing. And I don't even know. I'm just so excited to have, I have, you know, hours at this point where I can just work. I just ran out and got some coffee. So I always like to start a like super productive work day with a fun coffee. And yeah, so I will film some stuff to show you what I'm doing throughout the day, but I'm excited to have a long chunk of time with which to work today. So I will see you later. Bye. All right, so I am starting my work process by taking all the stuff out of the presses. I really love this part of my job. It's always fun to see how everything looks once it's completely dry and flattened and pressed, and I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of some of the stuff that I worked on. So with my cased journals out from the presses, now I can unload my Coptic covers. And these Golden Girls covers were really fun to make, and they were really popular this season. I'll probably have some more coming in the future, but for the holiday season, they were really fun and popular. Okay, now that those covers are all out of the press, I will reload the presses with the pages for my floppy disk notebooks. All of these pages are cut and folded by hand. Each individual page is done, and then I press them for a day before I sew them so that it really helps get that fold in there. And then again, I press them for another day after the book is actually sewn. I don't put them under the boards and weights once they're sewn, just because the covers are plastic, vintage plastic at that, and so they're a little brittle. I press them a little bit more gently, but I do try to press them, you know, 2 different times within the entire process. So here I am just stacking up all my sets of pages and then put a brick on it. Hi guys, it is Friday morning. You may have noticed that there are no videos for Thursday. Something that I don't talk about a whole bunch on here is that I have 2 kids who are in elementary school, and I work when they're at school, and I work in the early morning hours and sometimes in the evenings, but usually I'm done by then. And yesterday was a half day, which meant that I already had a little teeny tiny bit of a window to work, but really I was at their school volunteering the entire time, and then we had community event after that, and then we had friends over. So like yesterday, by the time I actually got back to the workbench, it was after 6 in the evening, and I was like sitting and sewing and yawning, so it wouldn't have made for good video. But that was reality. I wanted to get a certain amount of books done yesterday. They are finished. And today it's just a little bit before 10 a.m. and I just got back from volunteering at their school again, and now I am going to get to work on, I'm going to tilt this and show you a little bit of what I prepped this morning. So I got up around 6 this morning and started working. So I have ornaments that I'm making. That's what's up here. I have one more journal to glue. And then I have this book that I haven't sewn. I was asking over on my Instagram what color thread I should use, and I've gotten a ton of responses. I've read through them, but I haven't had a chance to actually sew it up today. So I will do that. I prepped a whole bunch of disc books and some thread so that I can take these with me to my show tomorrow. A lot of times it'll get really, really busy and then you'll have a lull. And so I found that doing a single needle Coptic sewing while you're waiting in those lulls is actually nice, because one, you're being productive and you're making stuff that you could, you know, turn around and sell, but also it's a really good talking point for people who are interested. It's kind of, you know, it's not like I'm doing a full tutorial or anything, but it's a nice talking point so that people can ask you questions about how you actually make them, so they can see how you actually make them. Even though I'm at a handmade fair and I have like handmade books on my signs, it's surprising the amount of people who actually say, oh, you made this by hand? And it's like, yeah, I did. It all started out as just sheets of paper or sheets of board, and I cut everything, I glued everything, I sewed everything. So it's a good talking point to have that. So I have a big stack of books. I've already punched all the holes in the signatures, and I have all the different colors that go with each of them. I have a couple that I'm going to try to sew up today, so I have them to sell tomorrow. Tomorrow at my fair. And yeah, so this is kind of the last little bit of actual work and making, and then I have some signage to do. I'm going to set up my entire display again. I set it up last Sunday to kind of see where the holes were, but now I'll set it up and see with all of the stuff that I've made this week, and I do an inventory so that when I sell stuff I can just check it off and know and keep track of how much. So at the end of the day, I know if like all my numbers match. And then also doing an inventory is really helpful, because I will look back at it. Like this show I'm doing tomorrow I haven't done it since winter of 2019. That was the last time they had it in person. And it was really helpful. I pulled out my inventory from that show and I looked at what sold. I actually went back into my Google photo memories and looked at what my table display looked like, so I could see like, oh, that's gonna be so different from what I'm doing tomorrow. And it's just really helpful to have a record of what sold well, what didn't. I saw that some of the lower end price range was what was selling really well. So that helped me this week to know, oh, maybe I should make sure I have some stuff that's, you know, under $20 and on the lower end of pricing. So that's what I'm working on today. I'll try to take some videos later, maybe of my setup and all of that, and kind of see the process. But I've got to start because I only have until 3 o'clock when the kids come back home, and then I've got to, I turn into a pumpkin. So thank you for continuing along in this week of show prep with me, and I'll see you soon. Bye. So here's my table setup. I forgot to take video of this when it was still light outside. The sun is setting now, and it's Friday evening. I like to do this so that I can make sure that I have everything how I like it and take the time to really make sure that stuff is set like how I want it to be. Sometimes, I'll have the same type of journal, like the cover here and the cover down here. So I want to make sure that everything is laid out, and I usually take video or photos of this so that on the morning of my show, I can actually just look at those photos and set it all up how I want it to be. So I tagged everything with their prices. Some of the prices change, in person versus online. There are a lot less fees for being in person, so I can lower my prices some. And I'm excited for new items that haven't ever hit online, like the Golden Girls one, and some of these others have just had a little bit of a time online. A lot of these small case journals down here I haven't put up online yet. So it's been a lot of work the last couple weeks getting to this point. And now I am to a point where I have all this stuff set up. You can see kind of in the background, I still have a little bit of work on my desk. The items there that are under bricks are the ornaments for tomorrow, and one last little book. I still have that bird journal. I have not figured out what color thread I'm going to do. That's going to be my very last thing, but I've got to pack up all of this stuff. So I just finished my inventory list and printed that out. I really like to have an inventory with me, and I've priced everything, inventory. Now I have to pack everything up and do it safely so that nothing gets damaged, and then maybe sew that final Coptic book so that I can grab it in the morning and pack it in too. So probably the next time you see this table set up, it will be my official table setup in the gym at Dedham Middle School when I am doing my show tomorrow. All right, bye. All right, and here it is. This is my table as it was all set up in the gym. This was a great show. I got to see a lot of people who were return customers who I hadn't seen in a couple years, and meet some new people, hear some really good stories about people using the ornaments and books that I've made in the past, and it was a great day. Thank you all for a great holiday season.